Welcome to Real Money, Real Life, the podcast where we get real about money and the messy human stuff that comes with it. I'm Linda Grizely, financial educator and your Me Money guide to financial clarity. Each week, we dive into financial concepts and money strategies, but we always tie it back to real life, emotions, mindset, and how money actually shows up day to day. If you're ready for practical tools, mindset shifts, and honest conversations that meet you where you are, not where the world thinks you should be, you're in the right place. Because you deserve to feel confident with your money and good about how you use it. No judgment, no lectures, and definitely no putting yourself last. Hello, everyone. If you're listening, you are one of the real ones, the ones ready to move from reacting to their finances to leading them with confidence. Today, we're going to talk about moving beyond tax compliance and into intentional tax strategy. Many business owners and professionals see taxes as something to survive rather than leverage, but the tax code can be a powerful ally when you understand how to work with it. And in this conversation, we're going to explore how proactive planning, thoughtful structure, and aligned strategy can support growth, confidence, and long-term financial control. My guest today is Gale Sciascia. She's enrolled agent and is a tax strategist and co-founder of Shasha Tax Retirement. With 15 plus years of experience in high-level tax planning, IRS representation, and retirement strategy, she equips professionals and clients with actionable compliance solutions that deliver measurable results. Welcome, Gale.
Hi, thank you so much.
I'm so glad to have this conversation with you because we are in tax season. And it's very timely. So hopefully we will get some good information out to our listeners. So tell us how you got where you are. What's your story? How'd you start doing tax strategy?
Wow, that's that's long. Okay, so I got into taxes. I was in accounting, and I had a sister who wanted to get certified in taxes, and she did not drive. So she suggested I take the course with her so I didn't have to sit in the parking lot while she took the class. And I took the certification. I fell in love. I realized how many things can be done and just the inner working of the code and how much can change from year to year. And I found it fascinating. And so that was the start of my tax journey. And I've continued to build on it, realizing there's so much that people don't understand. And my husband and I started on the journey of Shasha Tax Retirement because he was in retirement and had worked for, small, medium, large companies. I was in accounting and tax and had done the same. And we were hearing a recurring theme, right? It was tax codes only for the rich, or rich people don't pay taxes, or it's unfair, or I always have to pay. And we're thinking it's all the same. It's just one set of rules. You just have to know how to use it. And we realize, like the middle class, they're very disadvantaged because they don't have those large teams of people who plan everything out and stack those opportunities and the credits and all the things that you can apply. And we said, this is going to be our mission. We're going to fill that gap. And so Shasha Tax Retirement was born, and that continues to be our mission.
So tell us about why you think that people see taxes as something to fear instead of a tool that they can use. Why are people afraid of it?
Well, I think it's laid out that way in general. I mean, it's similar to when you're starting, say, middle school, and all the adults around you, they tell you math is going to be hard. And so you're dreading math as you go into middle school. And you continue to dread math every single year because you've been told it's hard. You've been told it's complicated. You've been told you need to be a genius to understand it. It's kind of the same concept with tax. People don't understand that everyone's working from the same set of information, and they just need to either have the ability to understand it themselves or know how to source the people who can make it advantageous for them.
Makes sense. And I know, like, I think you said in your opening, you said, it's one forget what you said is like one thing, but I'm like, yeah, it's one giant book of code. It's one thing, one giant book of code. That's a little intimidating too, right?
It is. I mean, there's a lot of information there, and honestly, I like to tell people. I have a lot of people approach me and they tell me what this person's doing and how they're using it, and often it's not right. And so, tax isn't a one size fits all. But the way that you can stack deductions and stack credits and maneuver and actually plan out what you want your future to look like and plan your situation out, being proactive is just so much better than being reactive. It takes a lot of fear out of it. But again, you need to have an approachable professional that you're working with that you can give the information to and they can help you plot it. And then it's not as intimidating.
Yeah, and I think the key word you said there that differentiates what we're talking about is that proactive, because that's where the tax strategy comes in rather than just tax preparation.
Absolutely. We do a lot of, not to diminish, but we do a lot of hand holding. So our clients will call us if they are anticipating buying a building or if they're thinking of taking on a new lease or buying a rental for Airbnb versus long term. Like, we encourage that dialogue because that helps us be proactive for you. That helps us, it gives us the tools to ask you additional questions to make sure it lines up with your 5-year plan or your 10-year goals. And so for us, it's nothing's overnight. Everything is, the long game because we're not just planning for your taxes now, we're helping you plan to retire. And sadly, a lot of people won't get to retire. And we know we have these tools available to us. So we're trying to get people talking and not be afraid of what they don't know and not be intimidated by what they don't know. And we're trying desperately to have people start asking questions.
Yeah, I think that's the main thing is ask the questions and not feel like you're going to be judged if you ask the questions, because if you have the question, there's many other people that out there that have the same question as you.
Absolutely. But one of the other things I tell people is your financial and tax and retirement goals and current situations can outgrow the people you've been using. And it's also the same for attitude and demeanor. If you can't go to the person who's handling your finances and ask them a question, that's a problem. Like, we should not be afraid to say, now, I don't mean you call them every single day and take up 2 hours and you rant. Like, that's not what I mean. But structurally, when you have life changes, you need to be able to run that past the people you trust who are supposed to be helping you build the vision that you're paying them for. So, both sides of that, be comfortable with who you're with, be able to ask some questions, and then ask the questions.
Yeah. And it's always important to have a good rapport with the professionals that you're working with, and know that you can ask the questions without being judged or feeling like you're bothering them, right?
Right.
Uh, okay, so somewhere, whether it was in something I read, you mentioned beyond compliance. So tell us what beyond compliance means to you.
So, beyond compliance to me, because at heart, I'm very compliance driven. So, part of our business is representation. And the amount of clients that I see that come in that, audits start at $15,000, like, compliance ends up being a really big deal. So, going beyond that, I really want to push people to plan, right? And for me, that's what that is. We need to know what your goals are for this year. We need to know where you're trying to be in 5 years. We need to know when you want to retire. Do you want to have like a legacy you're leaving behind? Like, what are you going to do with your house? And what are your assets? Like, we want to know all of that so we can plan it for you. We can source the other professionals that need to come in for your will and your estate. And that saves your family all the trouble, later on when you do pass. Like, we want to help you plan all of that out. So we're going far beyond just having you have your books correct, be audit ready, be tax ready. We're going beyond all of that to say, is your life where you want it to be? And let's plan it. So, like, we'll plant the seed and ask you the questions, and then you give us the vision and we'll help you build it. It's going to take 10 years, 7 years to double your money, or you're with a retirement fund where your advisor is getting 2% instead of 1%. So you're not going to double in 7 years, you're going to double in 15 years. Like, we walk you through those steps. And that is what beyond the compliance means to us. It's very proactively planning your future.
Yeah, I see that. It's very much a holistic planning type of approach, which is similar to what financial planners do in their process too. Look at the whole picture and understand everything that's going on. A lot of times, though, when clients are working with a financial advisor, the advisor or planner can give them ideas of ways to save taxes, but their tax preparer only looks at right now. So to me, what you're telling me as a tax professional is something different than what I typically hear from tax professionals.
That's the gem, right? So our tagline is tax and retirement go hand in hand. And it's for that exact reason, because we don't have them in silos. We are bridging that gap. We're bringing it all together so that not only your taxes for next year, but your taxes in retirement, like, we've got it covered. And the other thing we do on the retirement side, and I don't typically speak too much on the retirement side because it's not my specialty, right?
Right.
But we also want you to be invested in the things that are important to you. And so when you're in a lot of these funds, or you're in the big, like, S&P and all the other things, and not the individuals, you may be putting your money somewhere that your values aren't aligned. So we take, we go micro with it, so that we are really trying to make sure that each milestone is hit and your values are kept. And if you don't want to be that detailed, fine, but you have the option to, and it helps you grow as well. And then you start to understand more. And as you understand more, it becomes even less intimidating.
Yeah, that makes sense. How do you help them understand that your strategies are different from other people they might go to for tax advice?
So one thing that helps a lot is we don't look at our watch. And so our first meetings are typically longer meetings, because it's really, let me get to know you, right? And I don't want you to come into the office or to the meeting and I'm just bombarding you with what we do. No, I want you to tell me about you. I want to know if you still have children underage. I want to know if, you have grandchildren you're trying to plan for, or if you have properties in different states. Like, I want to know all of the nuances of your life, and then I can ask you questions. Then I can help give you ideas. Then I can help you get out of the employment box into the entrepreneurial box, and like, all the different things. But that comes with a very deep, and in some cases multiple conversations, to build that rapport and to get to know the client, so that they can give you that information and help build it out.
Yeah. And so you work with business owners as well as individuals. Is there a typical type of person that you work with?
So we are seeing a lot of clergy. We do have some military that we work with, and just recently we've had, like, an influx of musicians. So we see a good bit of rentals and things of that nature, but it's not primary um, for us by any means.
And are there any common things that you see that people are missing, like missed opportunities with deductions or in their planning, like things that you see common that are like, oh, here, look for this first because most people miss it?
For business owners, one of the primary things that I see is that they don't have retirement set up. They're not aware of solo 401ks. They're not aware, in some instances, they're S corps. They're not aware of how being an employee of your company really works, and that they can be contributing to retirement as the employee and as the employer with a match. Like, they don't understand it. And so that's the largest missed opportunity I see on the small business side. I don't see a lot of missed opportunities on the individual side, but what I do see is misuse. And people regularly misuse their vehicles, they regularly misuse their home offices, and those things can cause you trouble, later down the road.
Can you give me some examples of those things?
So, home offices are a really big one, but what people don't understand is it's supposed to be a dedicated space. And I will regularly hear people come in and say, "Yeah, I have a home office. I use my kitchen table." Well, no, you don't have a home office and you shouldn't be taking those deductions. But I go a little bit further than that. I like to go ahead and I pull the language from the code and I let them see it in black and white. Because you can take my word for it. You should take my word for it, but I want you to see it and understand it so it can really sink in, because home office deductions can be pretty large. And if you have an audit and you can't prove that out, those deductions are canceled. And then you have penalties and interest on top of whatever that amount was. And that can get to be a very large issue. So that's a really large one. And I forgot one, which is contract employees versus or contractors instead versus employees. And a lot of people get that wrong as well. And I regularly have to explain that. They're not a contractor if they have no autonomy. I mean, if you're telling them what to do, when to do it, how you want it done, when to give you deliverables, they're your employee. And I have to show them that in the code regularly. One of the bigger issues with that is the trust fund taxes. So when the IRS figures out that you should have been paying taxes in during the year and you haven't been, that's a whole nother issue. Trust fund issues is one of the probably top 3 issues that can actually land you in jail. The IRS wants their money. And so I try to really caution on that level of employee versus contractor. You have to have it right. And you have to have
Okay.
paperwork for it as well.
So when your clients come to you, what are the main questions that they're asking? What is their pain point that they're saying they're looking for that maybe they haven't found somewhere else?
So I get a lot of people who they just immediately want to know what they can deduct. And while that's very important, there are a few steps before deductions. Are you structured properly? Are you fully structured? Like, are you fully registered in a state that you're trying to do business in? Like, there's a lot of things before you get to deductions, because no deductions can even occur if you're not actually a business, right? Um, and so I caution people about that, because yes, they're important, but how's your foundation? Is it solid as a rock, or is it built on a sand castle, at the, what do you call it? The shore, right there
Right.
where the water splashes. Like, what are you doing? So I like to back them up there and get those things in order first and then get to deductions.
Okay. And what about people that aren't business owners? Are there anything in particular that they come for?
So I like a lot to try and help individuals think outside the box, right? Because we all have something that we're good at. We all know what we know, right? So, what is your profession and how can you take that and make it a business? Because there's only so much you can do as an individual. So, how can we get you out of that employee box so that you can enjoy some of these other things that are in the tax code? So, that's my really big push for individuals is, how long have you been doing that? How many classes have you led? Is this something maybe you've thought about? Do you want to think about it? And then with their income, of course, if they are like high net worth, I will ask them if they have ever been interested in real estate or opportunity zones and what that looks like. If they have ever invested, see how they feel about that. But I try to keep their eyes open, because you don't know what you don't know. And it's part of my job to expose you and help you grow.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Expose you and help you grow. It sounds a little bit scary, but I think that's really right, though. It's like you're there to help. And if you don't help them uncover things, then it'll be harder for them to grow.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I feel like there's a fear that of doing something wrong rather than trying to be strategic. And I think that's where it sounds like you come in, right? It's like if you were trying to do it, somebody's trying to do it on their own and trying to figure things out. They're just afraid they're going to do something wrong, so they don't do anything at all.
I've seen that, but what I see most is I'm not going to do anything until I have to. I'm going to wait till April 15th, and then I'm going to go to one of the box stores. I'm just going to let them file my taxes, and they're not going to ask me any questions. They're just going to take my paperwork, and they're just going to do it. And then I'm going to be done with it because it gave me anxiety to begin with. I see more of that. Like 95% is that. And again, it's a missed opportunity because they're not going to ask you questions. And you probably did have something happen during the year that you hadn't even thought about. Maybe you bought a new car, and that's applicable to the one big beautiful bill, and you could be getting the interest from that, or maybe you do have a rental property and you don't know you're supposed to claim rent on it. And then conversely, you don't know that you can take the deductions for the roof that you just had to replace during the ice storm that we had a few weeks ago. Um, and so just having someone that you can call and say, look, this happened, or look, this is what I'm thinking about. It's just such a better outlook than being anxiety driven, waiting till the last day and crossing your fingers that the IRS doesn't come back and say something to you.
Yeah. So what helps clients move from anxiety when they're working with you? Because I mean, they still have the anxiety, but now they're working with you. How do you help them get to clarity over anxiety?
Well, I don't know if you noticed yet, but I'm pretty charming. Okay, I'm just messing. I'm just messing. But
That helps. I'm sure that helps a lot.
being open to questions, having an approachable attitude and demeanor, wanting to know their story and what they're looking for, I think is the biggest buy-in. It's the biggest. It's the most I can do to get the client's buy-in, and it gives you. It's the comfort that you get from that because you feel you've been seen. You can hear that your vision is being understood, and someone saying, "Okay, I can make a plan for you," and it'll be a 50-step plan if that's what you need. And a 2-step plan if that's what you need. But we'll walk you through it. And having someone that understands what you're trying to say means a lot.
Yeah, it does. Absolutely. Okay. So if you had one thing that you wanted people to remember about tax strategy, what would it be?
Be proactive. If whoever you're working with cannot be bothered to answer a question from time to time, they're not your person. You
Okay.
have to be proactive.
Yeah. And so how does somebody recognize if they're not proactive? If they're not proactive, they're just filing their taxes and they're not thinking ahead?
Well, yes. If you have a vision of what you want to do, if you know you'd like to go into real estate, if you own a business and you know you'd like to take on partners, or you know you want to buy a building or do a build out, if you don't seek guidance on that, knowing that that's not your area of expertise, you can pretty much know in your mind that you're going to leave some things on the table, and you might even have consequences that are pretty large down the road.
So talk to your tax strategist before you embark on these adventures instead of after.
Absolutely. I like to tell people it's okay not to know the answer. It's not okay to not seek the answer. You know, it's you're willfully burying your head in the sand, and that's not going to help you in the future.
Yeah, I like how you put that. Definitely better to ask the question and seek the answer than to just ignore it. All right.
Absolutely.
So if you were going to give somebody one small practical step that they can take to start moving forward to be more in control of their tax situation, what would that be?
I think everything really starts with your ideas. So, the one thing I would tell people is to make a plan of where you want to go, because you don't even know the questions you need to ask if you don't know where you want to go. So, we have to just kind of condition ourselves to think beyond today, um, and see what we want our future to look like. Then we can reach for it.
Okay, so if it we're right down to tax time right now, we're getting there, and somebody's like, "Well, I just been filing my taxes every year and haven't really thought about the future. I've just been doing what's happening right now." Is there anything that they can do now before they file last year's tax return?
Unless it's by way of a retirement plan, no. Last year is pretty much done. Um, but you have plenty of time to move forward this year and make changes. So there's not too much that you're going to do for 2025 at this point. So I would just say to them, that's the way that you were, and just make a commitment with yourself to do things differently and see how it turns out.
What's one belief or pressure that people think about taxes that they can really let go of?
Hmm.
A common
That it's
misconception or
not accessible to them. It might not be what you can do right this moment, but it might be something you can build towards. And it may be a few different strategies that take you to the same spot, but again, it's one code and it's there for everyone. So, it's available to you. We just have to figure out how it applies to you.
okay. All right, Gail, tell us who needs to find you. Who is your ideal client?
So, our ideal clients are individuals looking to come out of the employer workspace and small businesses who aren't sure if they are registered properly, who are not sure if their entity is correct, who are not sure what retirement plans they should have, who are not sure that they're in compliance. Those are our targets.
And are there specific states that you work in, or can you work with anyone?
So, federally licensed, I am licensed by the United States Treasury, so we can actually work across all 50 states.
Yeah, and so that brings up a great point. Explain to everyone what the EA is, because a lot of people don't know what that is. When they think taxes, they always think CPA. So explain what an EA is.
So, I don't want to oversimplify it because CPAs do great work. However, CPA curriculum, you have one tax class unless you elect to take others. And with an enrolled agent, everything we do is tax. So it's basically like a CPA is a generalist if you're going to the hospital, and an enrolled agent is a specialist. And so, not for all CPAs, because some CPAs have a lot of coursework in tax, but for the majority, that is not the case. So it's like your generalist to your specialist.
Great. I'm glad I remembered to ask that. All right. And then how can they find you? How can people find you?
You can find us at shashatr.com. You can email us at contact@shashatr.com, or you can find us on Facebook.
Wonderful. And I see here that you have a free resource for our listeners.
I do. I actually have two that you can receive by emailing us. One is Beyond Compliance for the entrepreneur, and the other is Beyond Compliance for the advisor.
Wonderful. All right. I'll put the information in the show notes. So thank you so much for joining me and having this conversation about taxes.
I have truly enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And for those of you still listening, thanks for listening to the end. Be sure to like us and share us and follow us. And I have one episode closing nugget for you, which is taxes don't have to be something you fear or avoid. When you understand the rules, you can turn anxiety into confidence and compliance into opportunity. Thanks so much for listening to Real Money, Real Life. Want to see what's blocking you from financial confidence or discover your money personality? Head to the resources page at lindagriz.com for our free quizzes. That's LINDAGRIZ.com/resources. If you're loving what you're learning, be sure to subscribe and leave a review. I'm your Me Money Guide to Financial Clarity, Linda Grizely, and I'll catch you next time as we talk more real money, real life, because you deserve to feel confident with your money and good about how you spend it. The content shared here is for educational and entertainment purposes only. It is not financial, tax, legal, or planning advice and does not constitute therapy or mental health counseling. Please consult an actively licensed and qualified professional for advice or help specific to your situation.